On hidden digital networks, brokers actively trade autonomous exploit systems. The significance of this underground trade is a black market valued at approximately $100 million, driving a new era of corporate espionage. This shadow economy relies on massive computing power. To fuel these operations, a highly organized physical hijacking ring targeted logistics hubs across Silicon Valley, which effectively merged street-level crime with advanced cyber warfare. The primary operational unit, known as the Chamorro Crew, consisted of 6 men. Their involvement signifies a highly coordinated effort to secure the physical hardware required to run these illicit digital networks. Why target physical logistics hubs? Stealing raw compute power is like a bank robber stealing the printing press instead of the cash. It gives illicit actors unlimited capability to generate automated cyber attacks. In December 2024, the crew executed a major operation at a Burlingame warehouse. This event means the perimeter of domestic technology supply chains was far more vulnerable than previously assessed. The operation commenced at 2:15 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. Operating under the cover of darkness is like a standard tactical protocol, minimizing visibility while maximizing the element of surprise. 6 men with athletic builds arrived in fraudulently registered Ford Transit and Mercedes Sprinter vans. Wearing dark utilitarian clothing and balaclavas effectively neutralize standard visual identification methods used by facility security cameras. Operating in total darkness with obscured identities is not just standard criminal behavior. It is a calculated operational security measure. It means investigators are left with 0 physical descriptors during the critical initial response. Before approaching the loading bays, the crew deployed military-grade multi-band radio signal jammers. Disrupting local communications means the facility security personnel were entirely cut off from outside law enforcement support. Once communications were severed, the perpetrators utilized pneumatic jacks and heavy-duty crowbars to breach the logistics assets. This brute force approach effectively bypassed the sophisticated digital access controls on the exterior doors. Throughout the breach, the team maintained strict coordination using walkie-talkies equipped with covert earpieces. This level of synchronization is like a military operation, ensuring rapid execution within a minimal time frame. The use of signal jammers during a physical robbery is a crucial escalation. It means that traditional alarm systems, which rely on cellular or radio backups, are rendered entirely useless against prepared adversaries. Inside the facility, the crew successfully extracted millions of dollars worth of advanced graphics processing units. Securing these specific components signifies a targeted acquisition of the foundational hardware needed for artificial intelligence. These processors are the engines of modern computing. Stealing them in bulk effectively provides an untraceable infrastructure for dark web brokers to run autonomous exploits without relying on monitored cloud services. Moving stolen hardware out of the country required a different kind of criminal. The stolen compute power was funneled to white-collar smugglers, which means the operation transitioned from physical theft to corporate fraud. Transitioning stolen goods to corporate executives represents a dangerous evolution in organized crime. This partnership effectively bridges the gap between violent street-level acquisition and sophisticated international trade fraud. This distribution network included middle-aged Asian and American tech executives operating in standard business casual attire. Their outward legitimacy is like a camouflage net, hiding the movement of stolen hardware in plain sight. To bypass federal export controls, the smugglers utilized forged end-user certificates. Falsifying these documents effectively allowed the restricted technology to cross international borders under the guise of legitimate corporate shipments. They also employed dummy servers as a system vulnerability exploit. Hiding advanced chips inside obsolete server casings is like a digital Trojan horse, deceiving customs inspectors during routine cargo examinations. Bypassing export controls is not just a customs violation, it is a national security failure. It means restricted processing power, designed for domestic research, falls directly into the hands of unregulated foreign entities. The smuggling pipeline continued to operate until June 2025. A subsequent interception in Fremont signifies that law enforcement had begun mapping the routes used by the illicit logistics brokers. This interception occurred at 3:45 in the morning, Pacific Daylight Time. The early hour effectively mirrors the tactical timing of the original warehouse heists, exploiting periods of minimal civilian traffic. During this phase, the hijacking ring transitioned to using rented box trucks for hardware transport. Federal records indicate the crew was armed with concealed semi-automatic handguns, specifically Glock Model 19s, which means they were prepared for violence. Upgrading to larger transport vehicles reveals the sheer scale of the operation. Moving massive quantities of stolen processors means the network was successfully liquidating hardware faster than law enforcement could initially track it. In response to the escalating threat, federal agents prepared for direct interdiction. Coordinating a multi-agency task force effectively allowed investigators to monitor both the street-level crew and the white-collar executives simultaneously. The presence of concealed weapons transforms a property crime into a high-risk confrontation. This means federal agents had to approach the logistics hubs not as standard crime scenes but as active tactical environments. Coordinated federal raids commenced in November 2025, utilizing unmarked Ford Explorers and Dodge Chargers. Dismantling the operation at this scale is like a synchronized strike, targeting both the physical muscle and the financial brains. Deploying a multi-agency task force is a necessary response to a hybridized threat. It signifies that local police alone cannot combat a network that utilizes military-grade jamming equipment and international smuggling routes. For the primary breaches, law enforcement utilized armored Bearcat vehicles. Deploying armored assets signifies the anticipated threat level, ensuring agent safety against the crew's known possession of semi-automatic firearms. Following the raids, the Federal Bureau successfully indicted the 6 primary crew members. Neutralizing the physical acquisition team effectively severed the supply of raw hardware to the white-collar smuggling network. The investigation culminated in a final smuggling bust involving enterprise hardware in March 2026. This operation effectively closed the remaining loopholes used by the network to export restricted computing assets. Dismantling this network reveals a critical vulnerability in global technology distribution. It signifies that physical security at logistics hubs is just as crucial as digital security in the defense against autonomous cyber warfare. Without new shipments, the logistics brokers were forced to rely on existing stockpiles. This operational pause means investigators could trace the remaining forged certificates back to specific corporate entities. Despite the arrests, the underground market for processing power continues to evolve. The sustained demand for these components is like a persistent hydra, where removing one smuggling network simply creates space for another. Corporate espionage and digital warfare are increasingly reliant on fully autonomous methods. This reality means that securing the physical supply chain of advanced processors will remain a permanent requirement for national security. As long as dark web brokers demand massive computing power, physical infrastructure remains a target. The unresolved question is whether domestic logistics regulations will ever effectively outpace the ingenuity of transnational smuggling rings.
App to stay connected to the future. Subscribe now.